On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, a change to your regular programming, and get a sneak peek at what's to come. It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Yes, hello and welcome to episode 32 of GTA 6 o'clock. As you heard at the top of the show, things are a little different this week due to some unexpected illnesses combined with travel arrangements, which means that it's just me, JJ, in the studio this week. Yes, Dan is ill, or at least that's what he's told me. Maybe he's just finishing Red Dead Redemption 2 finally. But rather than not bring you an episode, I thought I would jump in and give you a heads up on what we're hoping to talk about next week, so you can ask any questions that you might have in advance and get your opinions in early. Remember, you can leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're following us on Spotify or any of the podcasts, please leave us a review. And remember, you can get in touch with us on Twitter at GTAVI O'clock and get in touch via email at GTAVIOclock@gmail.com. So a few things we'll be covering next week. And let's start with the GTA 6 reboot. Now, this all comes from a thread on Twitter which goes into detail, tying together early forum posts from the beginning of 2020 to the suggestion that GTA 6 has effectively been rebooted from what was going to be the 70s, 80s and 90s Narcos-themed game into the version we're talking about today. The suggestion is that it would be set in Vice City and Colombia and would focus on drug trafficking. This all ties back to a claim made by The No in 2018, who said that GTA 6 was codenamed Project Americas, which we now know to be true, and would take place in a fictional Miami, also true, and Colombia, TBC. It also goes on to say that a reliable inside source said that GTA 6 was rebooted when Dan Houser left. He also claimed the original announcement date would have been spring of 2020. Now, obviously, there's quite a lot to unpack here, and this is only really the first strands of the meat from the horse, so to speak. So it's definitely something we'll get into a little more next week. But just for a bit of context, in February 2020, Rockstar Games' parent company, Take-Two Interactive, announced Houser's resignation from Rockstar Games. He left Rockstar on the 11th of March 2020 following an extended break in 2019. And Narcos, for those who haven't watched it, is a chronicled look at the criminal exploits of Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar, as well as many other drug kingpins who plagued the country throughout the years. Narcos tells the true-life story of the growth and spread of cocaine drug cartels across the globe and attendant efforts of law enforcement to meet them head-on in a brutal, bloody conflict. It centers around the notorious Colombian cocaine kingpin Pablo Escobar and Steve Murphy, a DEA agent sent to Colombia on a US mission to capture him and ultimately kill him. Lots and lots to talk about here, of course, but let us know your first thoughts in the comments. Is this something that you can see happening? Does this mean the rumoured extra islands, possibly Colombian islands off the coasts of Miami, are going to feature in the game? Has that now all been scrapped and was retranslated into GTA Online's DLC? We will talk about all of this next week, but interested to hear your thoughts. Another topic that's ripe for discussion is the more cancelled GTA 5 DLC info that we're getting. Now, this has all come from an ex-Rockstar employee, Joe Rubino, who has revealed more information about the cancelled GTA 5 single-player DLCs in an interview with YouTuber San in Play.
A lot of the team went to do RDR2 right away, and I kind of took on this other project that was a standalone DLC for GTA that never came out, and it was kick-ass.
Now, in that interview, he called these DLCs kick-ass and went on to say that it was a business decision as to why they are cancelled. Now, we have covered this quite a lot in the podcast previously and have noted that obviously it is a business decision because GTA Online was so massive, which Joe does confirm in this interview. It was so massive that they just refocused their efforts on to GTA Online rather than continuing the single-player DLCs. We should say that some of this is coming via translations, although the interview that Joe did was in English, but some of the phrasing might be mistranslated here. But it is stated that Trevor's DLC, the one that we have discussed in the past of Trevor being recruited by a government agency to go on a sort of James Bond style mission, that apparently was shelved halfway through production to focus on GTA Online. Now, I have just been down a huge rabbit hole here, and there's lots to talk about, not just about these DLC packs, but also what this information does to the conversation around GTA 6's development and the voice actors, etc., etc. So lots to discuss, but let us know if you find anything out around this in the next week or so, or if you have any questions or you'd like to go deeper into some of these aspects, and we will get into this next week for sure, because there's a lot to unpack. As I said, there's a lot to talk about with Dan. There's a lot of information here, so join us next week for that. And finally, next week, we are going to check in on Everywhere. Now, this is the upcoming massively multiplayer online game and game platform with an integrated game creation system being developed by Builder Rocket Boy. Now, Builder Rocket Boy is Leslie Benzies' new studio that he's been working on since leaving Rockstar, which he founded in 2018. The game is now in what they're calling a builder's beta, and selected people can jump in and play it, which includes me. Now, the beta is still running at the time of recording, so let us know if you have any questions about this game or if you've managed to see anything about it over the last week or so. What I will say before getting right into this next week is that maybe the most impressive thing about the game so far that I've found is the character creator. I think we can show you a few clips here as we talk about it, but really my overall feeling so far is that this is going to benefit from more people spending time building the things and spending time actually in the game. When I jumped on a few times in the last week or so, it felt reasonably empty. So some of the matches that I was doing was me there was a driving mission, and some of the driving things I was doing was just me driving around a circuit on my own, whereas it should have been, 5, 6, 7, 8 people all vying for a position, but it was just me. There was a couple of interesting different race types, which was good, and like loads of different perspectives, which seemed good. And then I did jump into a deathmatch, sort of third-person, very Red Dead Redemption 2 style combat, but in a futuristic modern setting. But when I jumped into that and did manage to find someone in one of those games, it was just me versus someone else, and they had figured out the spawn point, which never changed, and they were just camping the spawn point. So that also was not that much fun. I haven't really had a proper look into the build mode stuff yet, which you can basically build either your own levels or your own sections of a game, or you can build just an individual door, which then other players can go around and take and put into their games. And it's a big collaborative way of sort of designing levels and different types of games and things like that. So lots more to come, but as I say, everything does feel pretty empty. And if it tells us anything about GTA 6 or GTA Online 2.0, as we're calling it, it's that the character creation tools we're going to get in a 2025 game are going to be awesome. I have no doubt in that. As I said, the character creation stuff was pretty impressive. But then once I actually got into the game, maybe less so right now, but it is in beta, so I'll keep exploring it this week. Please let me know if you'd like me to check anything specific, and we'll go in and have a look about that. But as I say, 3 big things to talk about, and a lot of other things that are in our list to talk about next week. But we will get into all of this, including the GTA 6 reboot, the cancelled GTA 5 DLC, which we've talked about in the past, and Everywhere, all on next week's show. So please join us next Wednesday at 6 p.m. for all of this and more on another episode of GTA 6 O'clock.